Hello, welcome to the 6th day of September 2022. I'm Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation. Good day to you. I need some coffee in me. I did things a little bit different this morning. I'm undertaking to read Samuel Johnson's Rambler series. Well, I'm reading all of his works, and I decided to, and I'm reading one Rambler a day. It's about 4 or 5 pages of this old 200-year-old volume, and I decided to do that just before the Good Life to see if that could help liven, get the juices flowing a little bit. It seems to have done the job even before I've had my coffee, but let me take a sip nonetheless. Anyway, a big day ahead of me, so time to get started. I do this video every day to remember my life objectives and principles. Oh, I forgot to do something. Hold on, just 1 second. It's actually going to be helpful if I do this. Give me just a second. I ordered and received the latest copy of Going Alone. So it's got all of the objectives and principles and sub-principles all in there. So this is my list now I can refer to as I need to. Anyway, I do this video every day to think about those objectives and principles and to see how I did yesterday applying them to the challenges of the day and to plan for today. First, last night and yesterday. I didn't sleep very well last night. Don't know quite what it was. I was up thinking. I had a challenging day yesterday, dealing with my mom. Despite, I think, strong efforts all my life to have a relationship with her, she doesn't really want to have a relationship with me. So in a way, I have to just simply accept that fact. And for whatever it's worth, she doesn't want to have a relationship with my brother either, so, or much of anybody. So that's the way she is, I guess. I did go out and see her yesterday. That was something that was, I mentioned yesterday I had to go see her, do a welfare check. Her phone stopped working the day before yesterday, so I went out first thing in the morning to go see her. I did see her. It was interesting. I just about a block away from her house. I pulled over and decided to call her up just to see if she was there, because literally I'm scared. My mom is a kind of a unpredictable person, and she does have a gun, and I've seen her, use her gun in the past when I was a kid. I really, so I didn't want to I don't want to approach her house without her knowing that I'm coming. I rang her about a block away. Phone rang, so it was working. But her answering machine went off, but she didn't pick up. I left a message, and then I drove to her house. When I got there, I could see that her screen door was closed and her front door was open. And so I got out of the car, and the 2 dogs were barking. She's got 2 little dogs. And I came up to the door, and it was like an episode of Cops. I didn't want to get in front of the screen because it was dark inside, very dark. And, I don't want a bullet to come through the screen. So I kind of, rapped on, it was like a movie, rapped on the thing, bam, bam, bam. And the dogs are going nuts. Mom, it's Kurt, Mom. Nothing, for long minutes that went on. And so finally I kind of turned around and pressed my face against the screen so I could see in there. And the first thing I checked was, didn't see her. I checked and I saw that the dogs were there, and the dogs looked fat and healthy. So good. That means she didn't fall down and break her hip, and she's dead on the floor, and the dogs have, she's dehydrated to death, and the dogs are on their way out too, and, dying too. So she's healthy. The dogs are fed. That's good. She's in there somewhere doing something. So I'm pressed against the screen, bang, 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 and Mom. Finally, I hear a door creak open, and she comes around the corner and looks at me. I said, Mom, it's Kurt. Your phone's not working. And then she gave me this look. She was definitely not happy to see me, and I'm definitely not welcome. And as soon as she heard my reason for coming, she changed her tune. She was like, oh, she was grateful that I came out. She appreciated the fact that I came out to check on her. And we had a short time together. We went and sat in the backyard, and we had a pretty pleasant talk. It's clear that, she really didn't want me there. And then she did get excited about one thing and drew me into the house and had me sit at the computer because she wanted to show me something. And I'll confess that I had another fearful moment. She got up to go get something. And I was sitting there looking at the computer, and she had gone behind me. And I started up and turned around real quick. Because I don't know. I was literally afraid she was going to shoot me in the back of the head. So, anyway, she's not doing good. She's 85. She's not going to shoot me in the back of the head. It's an irrational fear that I had. But my mom does scare me. And then just before I left, she handed me a knife. Here's a knife, and to take away with me. Well, I was like, what's this for? She said, no good, no reason, just have it. Okay, I'll take this knife. One less knife in your house. So anyway, so she's all right, and I found a good reason to go see her again. I need a contrived reason. And with COVID, because she refuses to be vaccinated, so with COVID, there's a good cause to not visit her, because I don't want to be the bearer of death to my mom. So, but she did just make a pretty interesting discovery. She discovered that a relative of ours, it would be her great uncle, so I'd be my great uncle, was a famous explorer in Alaska. And she's come up with this stuff in the past, but that's what she was showing me on the computer. And then I got on my phone and I did some research, and I was like, holy crap, she's right. Looks like this guy is a relative. And he wrote a book. His name is David Bremner, Bremner. There's a Bremner mining district, there's a Bremner River, a Bremner Glacier. And it turns out he's from Aberdeen, which is the same place that my mother's father's father came from. No, it's on my mother's side. My mother's mother came from Aberdeen, and so did her sister before that, and other relatives also. She had told me before that her relatives had been coming from Aberdeen to North America. So it looks like this is a Bremner. That's as related as they are. It's a Bremner from Aberdeen, Aberdeenshire, no less. I don't know how many. There's probably lots of Bremners. So there probably is a legitimate family connection. Turns out the guy wrote a book. I found the book. I bought the book. I'm going to read the book. So the reason that gives me an opportunity to go see my mom is that I'll go deliver the book. After I read it, I'll go deliver it to my mom so she can read it too. Turns out his son, David Bremner's son, wrote a biography of the family too. So I bought that too. So I'm going to read both of them. So who knows? Maybe it'll connect back. Although we don't really know enough about the family in Aberdeenshire to know anything of anything. Unless my mom can somehow remember her. Well, she can. Unless she can somehow remember enough names. But if she doesn't, I won't say that. I won't impugn my mom. I was going to say she'll make it up. She doesn't make stuff up, but she makes connections that are, fanciful at best. Anyway, that was my day. No wonder I didn't sleep very well last night. And it was a long drive, long day. And then I stopped by and saw my brother-in-law. Oh, and then get this. She showed me that the property up in Lake Hughes that I thought had been put into some sort of a trust. It's not ours anymore. It belonged to, I thought it belonged to a land trust. It had been sold. It's for sale. And so as a result, my mom showed me, I don't know how she found that. I went up there to retrieve something from my brother. It was ours, because remember, our family owned that. Wait, remember, you probably don't know that. Our family owned the property. It burned down, and all that's left is ruins. And I go up there every couple of years and check it out. And I had found up there a handprint of one of those kid things that you make when you're a kid, where you put your hand in clay. Is it clay? Yeah. And then you glaze it and fire it. And then you've got a handprint forever, and it said Lyle's name on the back, and it was his. And I had seen that up there. After a big fire had gone through it, had burned away all the brush, and I found it on the ground. So my brother, Lyle, had expressed an interest in that. So as soon as I saw, when I was visiting my mom in Palmdale, that place was for sale, I said, oh, well, I better go up and get that for Lyle because I may not have a chance again. Someone might buy the property and start working on it. So I drove up there, picked that up. That was a long drive. Then I came back, and on the way home I stopped at Lyle's and gave him that. Then came home and had a really nice evening with my wife. It was so good to be home. Oh, boy. But I didn't get a lot of rest. And today's a big day. And I was up in the middle of the night, but I wasn't up my normal insomnia. It was something different. Can't quite figure it out. Challenges yesterday? Faced with a lot of challenges with my mom. So I did use the good life in terms of recognizing. I asked myself to remember what was within my sphere of control, which is I can't control my mom. She's still of relatively sound mind. She is getting very old, and I have to do whatever I can to keep close tabs on her, so to speak, so that I can be there for her when she needs me, because she will. I used the principle of the horror show to prepare myself before I arrived at her house, prepare myself for the worst. I used temperance to temper my emotions. I think that's about it. Yeah. All right, let's do the good life objectives and principles. There are 7 objectives. These are, number 1, to be always ready to die, to have my life affairs, my relationships, and my life's work all in order. Number 2 is to make a good and effective use of time so that I'm squeezing as much goodness out of every day as I can, not wasting my days. 3 is to develop and maintain good and sound life principles, which I have here, which is what I've done with the good life. 4 is to cultivate good emotional reactions so that I react well to the circumstances of the life around me. I reacted very well yesterday. My mom had a lot of genuine enthusiasm for ridiculous stuff yesterday. And it's hard for me to get behind that. Not because I'm insensitive or that I don't care. It's just that so much of that has been malevolent in the past from her. And, it's hard to get enthusiastic about a malevolent agent. It's hard. It's awful to have to say that about my mom. But it's true. She does. It's not, I won't say that. She's my mom. I'm not going to speak ill of her. I'm just going to be a good son. I will do everything I can to make sure and establish a connection with her, to be there with her, to offer her comfort and solace, and to be there for her in these last decade or so. She's 85. To comfort her in whatever way she'll allow, and to be there to help soften that final blow when it comes. I'm not gonna do anything other than that. I'm not going to impugn or say anything else. I'll say nice things, but I'm not going to say not nice things. Okay, next is the next one is to recognize my true limits and my true opportunities. What is within and what is outside of my spheres of influence or control. And then to do just one thing at a time, and to do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully. And let's do the good life principles now, using the latest copy of the book as my guide. Creak this thing open. I've never opened this one. Okay, here we go. Number 1 is the principle of war, to always be fighting against what I think is true. 2 is the principle of reason and the sub-principles of honesty, objectivity, doubt, and humiliation. See, it's good to have this as a guide. I forgot I had added humiliation. Why did I add humiliation? Why did I add that? And I probably added a little bit of language to that, did I? It says, reason is my first instrument of reconciling hypothesis with truth. To be effective, I must be honest with myself and others regarding what I know and do not know, and make pains to view the world objectively, without coloring reality too much with imagination fortified of want or need or fear, or the normalizing pressure of authority, tradition, and unfounded consensus. Doubt is my default stance and starting point for every new venture of inquiry, and humiliation at my own realized folly, the surest sense that I am on the right track of correcting my own wrongs. Okay, so that's why it's there. Reason, at its best, is a tool of self-immolation, turned first inward as I seek to burn away the chaff and waste of unprincipled living, and then outward, in resistance of our species' less worthy answers to the mysteries of life. Very, very good, that good. I'm glad I have the humiliation there. So it's when I feel that humiliation, that means I'm burning something up, burning something. There's something being charred away inside of me that's not necessary. It's good, and I agree. That's good that that's there. I agree, current self with previous self, who put that there. How self-congratulatory. The homunculus. The homunculus is is a concept. It's just the idea of consciousness in place of a soul. I don't think I have a soul. I don't think you do either. I think we do have a consciousness to a greater or lesser extent. And then there's the Anchorhold, which is the place that we suffer and die. That's the weathering of life. And then the home of good and evil. Right and wrong do not exist out there in the universe, out beyond us. They're just something that we hold inside of us, opinions no less. And then the principle of purpose, which has the sub-principles of biology, virtue, and mission. Biology being the biological seeming mandate of life, to procreate and to make children and raise them into a successful adulthood. Virtue, to be a virtuous human being, where virtue is defined as the improvement of the well-being of thinking creatures. And then my mission is to share the story of the going alone and the resulting good life creed. Then comes the atomic principle and the sub-principles of dissolution and emergence. Why emergence? Let's read it. First, I have a quote here. All things change to fire, and fire, exhausted, falls back into things. Heraclitus. Everything in the universe is bits and pieces, flowing and changing, forever transforming and becoming. So too you and me. Here for a bit, soon to pass, soon to dissolve, never again this thing once more. Note, when remembering this principle, I often pick up a handful of sand or dirt to let sift through my fingers in the blowing wind. Okay, well, I guess the emergence is that we dissolve away, and then from what we currently are, and then our pieces emerge as something else, right? So I'll die if I'm thrown out into a field to rot away. I'll emerge as blowflies and grass and etc. And then on a million other things. Sounds like a good way to end. Next comes the principle of nature and the sub-principles of composition and inertia. I've forgotten so many of these sub-principles. Let's read. Everything and everyone has some qualities and character which define what they are and what they are about. This nature, combined with perspective and will, is their paradigm and operational guide. The demands of biology are a mandate deep and sound from the perspective of survival and the continuance of our kind. I ask myself at every chance, what is the nature of the things I will meet and interact with today? What are the natures of the people I know and with whom I share life? And what is my own nature? What am I made of and where am I going? Knowing these things will help me to better engage and more reasonably and to engage better and more reasonably with everyone and everything. Inertia. So the inertia, I didn't really elaborate on the inertia, did I? It's the weight and energy of whatever motion we have in place. It's because it tends to keep on moving, right? Okay, I gotta move forward to the time. The pirate ride is the hypothesis of no free will, that we don't have any free will. It's just an appearance of free will. And then the principle of maturity and the sub-principles of wisdom, fortitude, and integrity. I forgot about that one. Integrity is being sound with regard to our principles. Then there's the social principle and the sub-principles of diplomacy, justice, and conspiracy. Conspiracy, no less. I'll have to dig more into these in the days to come. Public speaking has the sub-principles of small words, rumor, prudence, and gossip. So speaking well, being very careful about what I say, about what I write, and never ever gossiping and not trading in a rumor. I forgot about that. And then temperance, which has the sub-principles of suffering, simplicity, and apathy. I need to move the apathy over here to, did I simply forget to remove it? Should be a part of true limits and true opportunity. This is not the most up-to-date version. I'm pretty sure I did update that. So this is not the most up-to-date version. Oh well. And then there's one here called Life Will Not Go Well. Life's going to be challenging along the way. Twists and turns, just one more thing. And then the horror show, the really bad stuff's gonna happen with that too. And then that which must be borne, and the sub-principles of hand on the tiller, keeping the ship, steering as best we can through the storm. And then the Feast of Offal, or the banquet of our suffering, when we get upset and blow up into the world, soil everybody around us, or they do the same. Then the principle of distraction, we distract ourselves with work and our homes and our family and our hobbies and our sports and our church and our God, so that we don't have to see what's the next principle, the agency and the great indifference, the fact of the universe without God. Because I don't think there's any gods that exist. So we're on our own. And that's something that came of going alone, right? Of facing down the wilderness alone and realizing there's nothing out there really. Just energy and matter, churning and twisting and moving through time. And we with our consciousness are kind of an interesting emergent quality to the universe, but we appear to be on our own. No one to look after us, no one to take care of us, no one to judge us, no one to see us through eternity. We're on our own. That's what I call the great indifference. And we distract ourselves all of our lives to not see that. And then comes the best seat in the house, which is right here where I am now, to not want to be anyone else, be anywhere else, or be doing anything else, but to be okay with who I am, where I am, and what I'm doing. I got to move fast. I'm running out of time. The restless man, that wants something, always wanting something new. And I think it's a biological principle. And I used man because I think it's mostly men that struggle with that restlessness. Some women too. The path of, and it's a good thing. It's the thing that causes our species to push on, to not settle in one valley. Literally one valley. That's what I mean by that. It drives us over the mountains to explore, and then it becomes a more intangible restlessness in our lives. We want something, we want to explore, we want to have adventure. Then comes the Path of Wildness, which has the sub-principles of the shadow dividend and Ulysses ride. I'll have to explore that more when I have time. And then the great life adventure follows from that. And then the risk of avoiding risks, the deep and surface level risks of life. And then sin and damnation, and the sub-principles of falsity, credulity, faith, superstition, dogma, and gossip. And then complete oblivion, and the sub-principles of no final reunion, no final reconciliation, no final justice. It's so much easier just to read. And then the season of philosophy, a time to record what we've learned along the way. And then the bullseye aim, shooting for the mark but usually missing. The uphill climb, and the sub-principle of the open ocean swim. I'll have to explore that. And then arena and utility. Life is this arena, and the principles are our utilities along the way to help us out towards our objectives. And then nothing is enough. Oh, I was thinking about this principle yesterday. I wish I could remember what I was thinking. And then last, the principle of fun, 32. Some principles of hope and retrospect. There we go. Did it. That helps. Today I'm going to get up now. I'll upload this, read my Bible, Ezekiel, feed the dogs, walk the dogs, change my clothes, get to work, start my day. My computer died, so when I get to work, I'll have to put in an IT ticket, get a new computer. Thanks for joining me. Have a good day. Be safe, but not too safe. Take care.